Hi everyone. So I'm doing my final news feature article on the reintroduction of wolves in Colorado. So for my first community event, I attended the Mile High Hunt and Fish Expo. I attended the expo on April 12th at the Gaylord Rockies Convention Center in Aurora, Colorado. I went to explore perspectives on wolf reintroduction and its impact on Colorado's ecosystem. The expo, known for partnering with hundreds of forward-thinking organizations and vendors that support hunters and anglers' rights, offered a unique mix of outdoor recreation, education, and conservation efforts. It provided the ideal environment to engage with conservationists and passionate individuals who are deeply invested in the ecological shifts unfolding in our state, particularly those surrounding the return of wolves. Alrighty, and I wanted to present some of my pictures from the event here. Another reason I went to the expo is my first interviewee, Dan Gates, met me here. He is a co-founder of the organization Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. The organization advocates for wildlife policies based on science rather than legislation. Dan Gates, aligned with his organization, opposes the reintroduction of wolves. He firmly believes that wildlife decisions should come from experts and stakeholders, not voters or politicians lacking context. Some concerns of his include the impact on livestock and rural economies, ecological disruption, and poor management of compensation programs at the federal level. The biggest takeaway from this interview is that wildlife decisions affect real people, and responsible management requires time, science, empathy, and collaboration. And for my second community event, I attended a TAC event. The TAC event I attended, which stands for Total Archery Challenge, was in Highlands Ranch, Colorado on May 3rd. TAC events are held in some of the most scenic venues across the United States, and they use archery courses to test the marksmanship of all skill levels in archery. I was invited by Brandon Bogan, my second interviewee and third generation rancher in Colorado, to attend the event with him, his friends, and family in order to learn more about his ranching background, his stance on the reintroduction of wolves, and meet people in a setting where conservation is a significant part of the conversations going on. Brandon is a rancher from Fraser, Colorado, who has worked the same land with his family for over 30 years. I met up with Brandon at the event where he was participating as a bow hunter, and our conversation focused on his strong opposition to the reintroduction of wolves. He has a deep connection to his land and his livelihood, and he feels the policies have ignored rancher input, which are people who live and work in close contact with these animals every day. He also spoke of the importance of balance and how we can all coexist if these big changes, such as wolf reintroduction, are approached carefully, respectfully, and with an open mind. This interview challenged me to think more critically about whose voices are included in the conservation efforts and what it means to live in harmony with nature. Throughout this process, I went through a roller coaster, roller coaster of emotions. I was nervous going into spaces where I didn't feel I belonged. I'm not a hunter, I don't fish, and to be honest, I'm not much of an outdoorsy person in general. Yet I found myself at two events centered around outdoor recreation, surrounded by people I would normally never cross paths with, let alone have deep conversations with about Colorado's ecosystem. At times, I felt overwhelmed and unsure if I was losing my storytelling a bit. But after each event, I left feeling proud that I faced my social anxieties and engaged with people whose worldviews are different from mine. And I did expect things at certain points to get political, but they didn't. Everyone was passionate and respectful, especially about wildlife management and conservation, which are values I share deeply. This experience pushed me out of my comfort zone and taught me the value of active listening, staying open-minded, and finding common ground where I least expect it. And finally, to wrap up, just to answer a couple of questions, bull-sidedism can create false equivalence, and some issues don't have two equally valid sides, and presenting them that way misleads audiences. And so I don't think it should always be practiced in journalism, and we have to really approach that carefully. As far as All Sides, I do believe that sites like All Sides promote media literacy and empathy by helping people see beyond their own perspective. So I do feel that's very important.